what's up? Welcome back to Reina Latina. So today's story time. Today I'm gonna tell you guys about the time I almost died in high school. I was a counselor for Ballarat, a high school counselor. If you guys didn't go to Ballarat, Ballarat was like fifth grade trip where all the fifth graders went to the mountains and they did activities up there, and they learned about either Colorado or they learned about how to make candles. So from the get-go, I should have just known that this was going to be an awful trip. As counselors, we go a couple days before so that they could train us how to get from where they get dropped off to the little trail to where they need to go, where the camping area stuff is. And then they train us on all these other activities so we could teach the kids and stuff. And like I said, I should have known it was just gonna be awful. So we get dropped off, right? We have to, after we pick up the kids from the school, and where we get dropped off, it's not where we had trained, where we had like learned the little hiking trail. And so we both kind of looked at each other and we're like, what do we do? And she was like, well, let's just like wing it, and so I was like, okay, cool, you lead. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, so you go ahead and lead, because we have to split up the class. She gets like 15 students, I get 15 students. And so yeah, so we're out and about, we have to like keep our distance or whatever. And so I'm like, cool, as long as like we can see each other or whatever, no big deal. And at one point we like started going one way and then like the trail ended. So we were like, okay, let's turn around. We were like, we're going this way. We're like, sorry guys. So I ended up being up front, right? And so we start going, we're going down the trail or whatever. A couple minutes later, like I'm always constantly looking back, making sure she's like, I can see her, we're still at our distance, but I can see her in the class. And after a while, I'm like, okay, we haven't seen her. I'm like, okay, we'll keep walking a little bit. And then we stop and I was like, all right guys, like let's wait for the other group to make sure they catch up. And about 10 minutes later, I still don't see them. And so I'm like, what's going on? And so I tell the teacher, I was like, okay, I said, do you mind if we just stay here? Like, I have to walk back a little bit, see, where she's at, where they went, like, what's happening, And she's like, yeah, go ahead. And so I walk back, and this bitch, my friend, she fucking, I don't know how it happened, she sprained her ankle. She actually broke her ankle, but at the time, I thought it was just a sprain. I just see her like on the floor and like all the kids are waiting, and like the teacher's like, oh my god, there you are. And I was like, what's going on? And she, like the guy teacher was like, yeah, like she sprained her foot, so like she's gonna have to stay and we're gonna have to like keep going with the kids. And so I was like, okay. I was like, well then, you know what, like screw this whole separate group thing. I was like, let's just unite them, let's just be one big group and let's just walk together. He's like, actually, do you want to go with the other teacher? He's like, and I'll stay with her. And I look at him and I was like, sure. So we keep going. Somehow, because I'm like, crap, I'm like, now I'm leading. I am by myself. Like, I don't know where the hell I'm going. But somehow, like not even a couple, like 30 minutes later, I ended up finding the place. So I'm like, okay, like even at this point, the kids are like, are you sure we didn't get lost? And I was like, no, we didn't get lost. Like, this is how it was supposed to go, And by the time we get there, like my friend is already down there, and she's like, "Hey, what happened? Like, what? Why did it take you so long? Like, from where we were, I guess it was like we were supposed to go this other way, and it was like right there, and I ended up taking us like all the way around. But anyways, and so I was like, whatever, bitch. Like, I don't know where the hell we are. We made it though. Like, that's all that matters. That happened day one, right? Day two, we have the class again, but this time they're separated into 3 different groups, and it's 3 different activities. One of them is like cooking, baking some like muffins, I think, I don't remember, or making some bread, and then the other one was like they would go into the teepee and like learn about like Native Americans, and they learn how to make fire with like 2 sticks. And then the third one was my group, which was making candles. So with my group, there's about 10, yeah, I want to say about 10 kids. And we're doing it, we're making these candles. It's great. I'm in this little like tiny cabin where we can all fit. And then out of nowhere, like this thing, it's like a little mini stove, like a plug-in one, I guess. I don't know. It was like a little stove. Where we had like the candle wax, and that's where we were dipping the string and like making candles. And so after a while, the little stove thingy starts smoking, right? A lot of smoke. And so I was like, okay, what's going on? I turn it off, and I was like, that's weird. Maybe it'll, like, the smoke will go away. About 5 minutes later, it's, like, still smoking, and it's, like, heavily smoking. And so even the kids are like, Miss, why is it smoking? And I was like, I don't know. Like, let's go outside, you know, let's get out of this cabin, you know, because there's too much smoke, and, like, that's not good for you guys. And so we get them out. Well, I get them out because I'm by myself. And then I go to where, like, they're cooking and stuff, because that's where the teachers were. And so I go in there, and I was like, hey, miss. I was like, I don't even remember her name. I was like, so my stove is, like, smoking. What should I do? And this bitch, she should have been fired. Like, she was like, oh. She's like, it's smoking. And I was like, yeah, the little stove is smoking. I turned it off. What do I do? She tells me to add water. My dumbass, instead of being like, water, bitch. Like, what you mean add water to the stove? Like, no, you know. I was just like, okay. And so I go, grab the water bottle, grab my big old water bottle. And I open it up and I pour it in there, right? And this is just me in there because I taken all the kids out, thank God. But I pour it in there, and next thing I know, like, boom, this whole thing of, like, all I know is, like, I see just orange, like, big old flames. And then somehow I saw that, and then next thing I know, I'm waking up on the floor across the room from where I was. So, like, I was in the corner, right? And then when I woke up, I was in the other corner, the complete opposite corner on the ground. Like, I saw the flames, and then, like, I come to it, and I'm, like, opening my eyes, and I'm literally, so I'm thinking this is an explosion. This shit just sent me across the room, you know? Like, shit went down. Shit got crazy, and, like, I know there's people outside, but I just couldn't hear anything, and I couldn't think. All I thought was, like, I need to get the fuck out of here. And so I crawled to the door, because this whole thing is, like, orange and, like, fuming and stuff. And so I crawled to the door, and the teacher picks me up, and she's like, are you okay? And I'm just, like, looking at her, like, I'm not even talking, because I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I'm in shock, you know? So this was the second day. So that shit was awful. Like, after that, I was just, like, in shock all day. And then the bitch had a nerve to tell me I needed to be happy because the kids could tell something was wrong with me. Like, yeah, bitch, I almost died. What you mean? Like, upset. But anyways, so that happened, right? Later that night, we start hearing talk about how we might have to end the trip short and how we might have to go that night. And so I asked, and I'm like, what's going on? And they were like, oh yeah, like, it's like snowing really bad down in Denver, so we might go back. And I was like, it always snows in Denver, like, it's fine, we'll be fine. And then, like, maybe 10 minutes later, they're like, yeah, DPS schools are closing, we gotta go back. And this is back when, like, DPS schools never closed. You know, like now, I feel like they close for any little thing. But back then, they, like, legit never closed unless if it was some serious snow or some serious weather, you know? And so the minute she was like, yeah, DPS is closing, I was like, oh, shit. I was like, we gotta go. At this point, it's, like, 7:30. And so we're like, okay, what do we do? And the adults are kind of, like, all over the place. She was the only smartest one. She was like, okay, we gotta start calling parents. We gotta start letting them know, hey, your kid isn't coming tomorrow. They're coming today. Can you pick them up from school? And if not, then we'll figure it out. And obviously some parents are answering, and they're like, yeah, great, we'll pick them up at school, no big deal. And some parents aren't answering. And so we're like, what do we do with the fucking kids that their parents aren't answering? You know, we tried 2 or 3 numbers, they're not answering. The bus driver had to drop off every single kid individually. And then it was certain areas, so it was like this side of Denver, and then this side of Denver, and then this side of Denver. And so we were like, what do we do? We only have 3 buses. And so it ended up being 90 kids in my bus, 90 5th graders, plus I think it was like 3 or 4 teachers, plus 9 high school students, because we were all, like, within that area, right? And so we get to the school, and so the way it was like there was 90 of us on the bus. And we go down to school, which going down the mountains on a bus was scary as hell. I was praying, because again, I thought I was going to die because the bus would, like, slide a little bit. And I was like, we're going to fall off, we're going to die, this is it, Mom, I love you. Like, I was just freaking out, and I was trying not to freak out, because like there were students and stuff, and there were so many kids that we had to stay standing. So like whenever like we would slide a little bit, like I was kind of grabbing onto my friend, I would just like squeeze her hand because I was just like, oh my god, like this is it, freaking out. So we finally made it to school, thank God. And then like we dropped off like 60 of those kids. I think their parents were able to pick them up. So it's like, great, there's 30 kids, 9 high schoolers, and the teachers got off as well too, right? Because they have their cars and stuff. At this point, it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. It's late as hell. So every time we go to a kid, one of the counselors would get out and walk the kid all the way to the door, and the other counselor would like walk halfway, you know, to like make sure they were good. And we did this with all 30 students. And getting their luggage was like we would be like, okay, who are we dropping off? And it'd be a certain name. And even that, like, we would be like, okay, how do you spell that? Because it's like, it wasn't in Spanish, it wasn't in English, it was just like names that it was like, how do you spell that, you know? And so they would tell us, and so then with the 30 luggages, as we're standing, we're trying to like move stuff around. I'm like, okay, here's our backpack, is this it? And he'd be like, yeah, this is it. We go knocking on the doors, and some parents would be like, what happened, what's going on, you know? So then we had to like take a minute to be like, oh yeah, like it's snowing pretty bad, so we had to come back down, and here's your child, you know, thanks. They had told us, they were like, either we go back today or we might be stuck in the mountains for another 3 days. And I was like, another 3 days with all these children, all these kids, all these people? I want to go home. What you mean another 3 days? Like, no. I was like, take me home. I was like, like, I'm not trying to stay here another 3 days. And then like, I don't have enough clothes for extra 3 days, which I could have worn like same clothes and stuff, but I was just like, nah, like I didn't like their food. I'm a picky eater. I'm trying to go home. I'm trying to go home to my food, my stuff, my family, you know? It was just ridiculous, and it makes me wonder like if they ever like made it better or planned it better, because literally like dropping off the kid one by one, like it was obviously for their safety and stuff, but it was just like my man's, like it was the bus driver, us, and then the students. So us as counselors, as high school counselors, we're literally the ones that took over, and we were like, what are we doing? We had no guidance on what to do. And like we were the ones that like had written like all their addresses and stuff, and since we all had GPS, we were the ones that were like, okay, these are kind of similar, same area. Like we were the ones figuring stuff out. And so I don't get home. I literally do not get dropped off, because even the counselors, like after we dropped off all the kids, right? So by the time I get home, it's 1:30 in the morning. It is 1:30 in the morning. And by this time I had already called my dad and been like, hey, like I'm coming. This whole trip, this whole Ballarat trip was just awful. And on top of that, they wanted to fail me because I didn't go, like, I was supposed to go the following week, but I was like, I'm not gonna go, like, y'all just almost killed me, you know, like, the freaking flame thing, the fire, and then, like, going up there is snowing, and, like, there was, like, a blizzard, and we almost stayed up there, and then, like, the way, like, the bus was, like, sliding down, I was just like, like, I'm not going. And so, and that never, at no point did the guy ever tell me, like, the leader of, like, Ballarat and stuff, he never asked me, hey, are you okay? You know, he was just like, he asked me, he's like, hey, what happened? And I told him, and he's like, oh, okay. And he like laughed. He's like, well, okay. And that was it. He didn't ask me if I had gotten the kids out. He didn't ask me if I was okay. He didn't ask me nothing. I could have had burns on me, you know, like I just completely shut down after that. And like, he didn't do nothing. Nobody did nothing. So I was just like, this is awful. Like, and then they try to fail me afterwards. I didn't tell my parents right away. I don't know why. I was just like, I guess I thought I was going to get in trouble, because I was like, I burnt down a motherfucking building. Like, and so eventually, like, I told my dad, and my dad, like, had my mom come, and I had to retell my story. And so I told my mom, and then they went into the school, and then the school had to talk to them, and, like, all this stuff, because they were legit trying to fail me. And I'm like, my man's, like, my whole life was in danger, and you're trying to fail me because I didn't go back. Like, you didn't worry about me. You didn't even ask about the kids. You know, you didn't ask if they were out. Like, he wasn't there, so he saw none of it. And so, like, years later, my sister goes to Ballarat, and she tells me that that house is still burnt. That, like, that whole wall, I guess, is still black, and it's like that. And so I'm like, oh, yep, that was me. Like, I do not care at this point. Fuck them. But yeah, anyway, so that's my story time. That's it for y'all. That's all I have to say. So thanks for watching. Let me know of any crazy stories y'all have had, any almost near-death experiences that y'all have had, because this trip was awful. That's it, guys. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. And yeah, thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys. Okay, bye.